Kicking us off is Mag Lopez. He is a field specialist and livestock focused in swine with the University of Missouri Extension, where he develops producer programs, conducts applied labor research, and connects farms with university expertise, with most of his work focused on outreach. His research examined workforce issues in the U.S. swine industry. So please welcome Mag.
Thank you so much for the invitation to Iowa State University and its Extension Department. I'm really honored to be here. What I'm going to present today just highlights of a large survey that we deployed in the last 2 years with some other land-grant institutions. So my name again is Mag Lopez. I'm a livestock specialist focused on swine in Missouri. And I, just to give a little context, I managed sow farms in North Carolina for about 10 years. Manage a lot of TN visa workers, so I have a lot of insights to provide, and I hope you can take some home messages when you get back home. So as probably you know that the TN visa program started when the Northern American Free Trade Agreement was signed in 1992, giving the opportunity for Mexican and Canadian professionals to come to and work legally to the U.S. However, we understand that Canadians have their own problems in terms of labor, right? So what we get here in the U.S. are mainly professionals from Mexico. TN visa workers have been very, very critical to maintain production and to maintain farms running across the United States. We know that it's really extremely difficult to find local candidates to work on farms. We know also that 100% of them, they come with a bachelor's degree because it's a requirement for them to have that degree in order to get approved their visa or TN visa. If we compare these individuals with the regular Mexican worker that comes and work in agriculture, these only have 22%, or 22% of them only have like some college degree. So in other words, we have a tremendous, highly skilled labor working for us in the swine systems. So in our research, we determined that about 40% of the labor is composed by TN visa workers. So what we did is we deployed a 35-question survey across the United States. With two objectives, is basically to understand the cultural, professional, and backgrounds, also skills and experience, to put that available to our systems here in the U.S. To determine themes of satisfaction, identify factors that could drive them to look for another employer, and also to investigate the incentives for them to that will increase the morale and retention within the farms. So these are the main topics. What we did is we surveyed around 260 TN visa workers from 7 states. And in person, we did this in person, and 9 more states we did it through an online approach. 35 questions were asked with the following themes like farm general information, demographic, cultural, professional, and academic backgrounds, personal and professional goals, training opportunities, work conditions, and factors driving satisfaction. Today, I'm going to be focused more on a more practical approach in terms of trying to link employee satisfaction in ways to improve retention. So, basically what I wanted to highlight is where, the data is coming from. We'll say that most of the data is coming from the Midwest and North Carolina, where we have more access to employees at that time. In the Midwest, we have a little trouble, due to biosecurity to get access to employees. Still, our statistical person said that we still have a strong sample to conclude, to draw some conclusions. So in terms of demographic, I just quickly wanted to highlight that the U.S. industry is able to bring young people from Mexico. So that's very interesting from the standpoint that they come in an early stage of their careers. Of course, because it's a physical demanding job, we bring more males than females. And when we ask them how long they have been here in the U.S., most of them were within 3 to 6 years working for the companies that we surveyed. And we asked them also, like, where are you coming from? Are you coming from a large city, or are you coming from rural areas in Mexico? And I will say that we have a mixed, 50% of them. And this is important from the management standpoint. Basically, based on my experience, if you have somebody from rural areas, you have to provide more follow-ups. Like, are things are going well for you? There are things that you need help in any ways. These people will not talk to you until it's very late. Meanwhile, people coming from large cities, Mexico City, Monterrey, Guadalajara, will come to you straight and will tell you, this is not working for me. So you have to, I don't want to generalize these remarks, but, generally speaking, is the difference what I've seen along these years. Another thing is, like, 2/3 of them, they come with previous experience. And this has some implications in terms of why these individuals are so mobile. It's like, I don't like the swine industry, I'm going to the dairy industry. I don't like, the dairy industry, I go to be a pen rider in California. So they bring a lot of experience. And the interesting thing is, like only 4% of them bring swine experience. So you can see it in both ways, like an advantage or disadvantage, but basically they have experience in other major livestock species, but not swine. So just to highlight the things that probably the ones that work in the swine industry, we know 100% of them have a bachelor's degree, but even some have a master's degree. Around 10% of them have master's degree, and I found one in a board store that she held like a doctorate degree. Most of them have an agronomy and veterinary science and animal science degree, and most of them are hourly employees. Of course, most of them are highly educated, and normally what we do as a farm manager, we place them in the farrowing house. So when we ask them, what language do you feel more comfortable at this moment to speak? And 80% of them, they say, I still feel more comfortable speaking Spanish. So I don't imagine somebody, I speak Spanish, I don't feel, and I feel sympathy for the ones that only speak English, and when you ask somebody to do something, and that individual, that TN visa worker does not understand your instructions. So it is, sometimes I make this comment, sometimes even though that I speak Spanish, I will explain somebody's like, do you understand this, what the instruction I just gave you? And they will say, sí. When you go back to the barn, that individual did not understand. So it's kind of difficult to imagine that, that communication barrier. So we asked them, to your ability to rank your ability to speak English, and 65% said that they only speak basic English level. So later we will see what the University of Missouri is doing in terms of these implications. And also we asked them, how satisfied are you in your farm? Interesting enough, and this could be biased, but around 73% they still that I'm somewhat satisfied or very satisfied. The reasons of satisfaction: good working conditions, good benefits, good coworkers, good management. So most of the things that we see here are things that we can control, right? The benefits are things that probably is company decision made, but the rest is basically work environment. We asked them, why are you dissatisfied? What are the reasons because you're satisfied? And again, these are the things that they mentioned: poor management, poor working conditions, poor benefits, co-workers conflict. Things that we can manage, right? Level of stress. How stressed are you? Interesting that only 30% they say I feel like little stress at the farm. I was kind of surprised that it was kind of low, but it's what we found, what they rated their level of stress. And reasons for that stress, and again, this goes back to management, poor management, workload, co-workers conflict, and workload load inequality. Many comments are like, I'm being asked to do more than others. That's probably the highlights in these themes. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about take-home messages, and then I'm going to give some what our experience has given in order to improve retention. This is the statistical analysis, very complex. I don't want to dive too much into it, but what the statistical analysis says is like high levels of stress were associated with lower job satisfaction. Okay, so sometimes they say this is intuitive, but sometimes we don't have the data to make a conclusion like this. Respondents with more than 6 years in the TN visa program were 80% less likely to experience high level of job satisfaction. Okay, is this, we don't know the reason behind it. Is this because they are ready to go back to Mexico? We don't know, right? But that's the data, what the data is telling us. High job satisfaction decreased the likelihood of considering changing employer. So we asked them also, are you considering at some point of your career to change employer? And they say yes or no. So the ones that were highly satisfied at their farm, they were less likely to look for another employer. But let's go to the next. It's like, how do you create a positive farm environment? And as a former Smithfield farm manager, I'm going to present some ideas that we did over there, or that was implemented over there. There was an employee care program where you have a partner with a new employee, and that employee, of course, that is the mentor, has to be very, loyal to the company, qualified, no disciplinary actions in the last 6 months, and there will be like a dollar amount in compensation if that new hire stays for more than 26 weeks. It was, in my opinion, it was very successful program. Other things that we can do is like make sure that people have their own things when they come to the farm. Small details make a big difference, right? Like their own coveralls, their own size boots, things like that can make somebody to feel comfortable or not. Create support programs. It's like, we still need people from our local communities. In my opinion, the best farms are the ones that we have TN visa workers, internships, and local employees, because local knows where to go. Where is the best fishing spot? Where is, the best grocery store? So we need that kind of mixture, right? So again, creating support groups within the farm with some farm leaders can help. Another is, in this case, with TN visa workers, understand what they care about. What is the things that would they like the most? Do they like to, to celebrate the Rosca de Reyes? I'm not Mexican, but, I feel a lot of sympathy for them. It's like, what the things do you like to celebrate? And it doesn't have to be something that you have to buy and it has to be expensive. It's something that, like you buy some groceries and they will do something, within the farm, right? So small things, birthday celebrations, whatever. In this case, we were celebrating something that they call the Rosca de Reyes. They really enjoyed that. Of course, like when we have conflict, we have somebody that is probably not performing very well, or somebody that is performing well. Feedback is important, and it has to be across the board. So it has to be with everyone, right? So communication in Spanish, if it's possible, it will be the best. It has to be a feedback that is objective, consistent, and timely. Especially, I don't leave things for the next week, because the employee will play with you and say, I don't remember what you're talking about. So you address the things, or you compliment somebody today, right? So hold all the employees accountable. And I have a former boss that say employees will not change until they are told to do so. That's pretty wise remark. So another thing that we do is constant training in swine production. Sometimes we forget because we have to do a lot of things on a daily basis. We have to train the people properly. Sometimes we forget about it, and this is probably more on a call on the extension departments, where we have to provide also SOPs in Spanish and some other resources. But the training has to be enjoyable, interactive, and complemented with the video or something that is, a good fit for the new generation, and it has to be consistent throughout the year. Another thing is like incentive programs, small things that the companies can do or the producer can do, like park tickets, appreciation day. In some cases, if it's possible, depending on the market conditions, maybe a bonus program. So we used to do like cookouts, and we used to do like tortas every day, and they love it. So small things like that can help you to build up a good, trustworthy relationship within your crew. So again, small things, just to summarize everything. Again, this is important. Again, I'm not advocating to, financial incentives. It's something that I think it has to be like a mixed approach to keep your employees, your T&Ds and workers within your farm. And other things that they were brought by a colleague that works in the sociology rural area is like we understand that there are not chances for everybody to get promoted, but maybe do like a temporary roles like biosecurity captain, or do something like a safety leadership with some kind of incentives, right? And again, this is something that we have to do probably. This is our call in the extension department, customized trainings, especially for independent producers or producers that don't have the luxury to have a bilingual technical trainer within their system, right? So, but you will ask yourself what our team is doing in terms of, helping to bridge those communication barriers. So what we did is we partnered with the Missouri Pork Association, and we hosted the first cohort of English for swine professionals. And this was designed for TN visa workers. They started about 3 weeks ago. And the good thing is it's only an 8-week summer program. They have synchronous sessions on the learning platform. And also they have to be attended to sessions in live where they can discuss with the professor, with Joe, the things that they don't understand, but also they practice pronunciation. So it's interesting that I've been joining just, to watch what they are doing, and I think it's doable. They do it at the evening, so anybody can join remotely, and I really appreciate what Joy has done in terms of building those bridges to close those gaps. And they have to take a quiz, and it's important for us. And remember, for the Hispanic community, diplomas are important, right? So we have to take those. They can take those back home or whatever. They can show that once they finish the course. The only thing that I can say is, like, I remember somebody told me once when I was farm manager, your farm will not perform better than your employees. And that is a strong comment. That is a strong remark. So anyway, this was my former farm in North Carolina, beautiful place. I still miss it, but I moved to the Midwest. So anyhow, not complaining at all. And these are the team. Of course, we have people from Iowa State, of course, Illinois, the University of Minnesota, The Ohio State, NC State, and some other. Thank you for them, and the National Pork Board for sponsoring this research. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take some.
Thank you, McDale. I think your job is great. I know you for a long time, but now that I'm on the Packer side, my question is, are you planning to extend the study with the TN visas and the Packer side?
Yes, and we need to talk about it after the meeting. Yes. Yes, of course, we know that probably you know some of the colleagues that used to be Smithfield colleagues. They already told me that there is a huge TN visa community working in packing plants, and we need to reach them. Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, I just want to thank you for your job because I am a TM visa and all this, it looks so great. And my question goes to what is the future on your research on this area? That program about English, it's amazing. I think it's pretty good for people. But what is your next step on this?
Yeah, I think the next step is to understand what, for example, to create like a curriculum, like in terms of production. Like what do they care about? What I heard is like, for example, some of them lack of information in English and Spanish, and some of them would like to know like hormones, how do they work in the South? You know, like the basic of the things, because I understand companies have like a SOP that it has to be for all of them. So most of them they say that I'd like to have something more advanced. So I believe that will be something that we are looking for, like maybe, you know, through videos or something that it has to be more advanced and tailored to this community, to this workforce, in order to, you know, to understand their needs or to meet their needs. That will be my next step, sort of speaking. Yep. Thank you.
I think that's it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.